Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks, Alfonso, for that interesting presentation. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about quality control and best practice for your everyday sort of project delivery work. So my name is Steve Deadman. I'm the Customer Success Manager for Ideate software. You can see a little bit about my background there. Started my career in building services, moved into BIM management several years ago. I'm now working for a Ideate software developer. So we are a authorized Autodesk software developer. We develop solutions exclusively for Revit. If you're interested in finding more information, head across to the website where we have a whole library of information, videos, training, tutorials, etc. We can find out a lot more about our software. We also have a booth across the other side of the arena, booth A3. So if you're interested in coming to have a chat with us after this presentation, then please do so. So some of the objectives of this short presentation, we're just going to review why it is important that you should be checking your models on a regular basis and why it should be in that BIM execution plan. Otherwise, if you have no plan to check your data, then the results can be pretty unpredictable. We'll look at some of the key areas that you should be looking at as part of your quality checks and some of the issues that can affect the health of your Revit models. And it'll demonstrate how some of the Ideate software tools can help with this process of checking information. So first, a word about technology. Technology is everywhere. Our industry is awash with technology at the moment, from digital twins to AI, and even those robot dogs. I've not seen it at this show, but it's probably around there somewhere. So I'm not against technology in any way. It's kept me employed for the last 25 years, so I'm not a naysayer of technology. However, with the new innovations, I do worry about quality and how this all fits in with this new technology we're moving towards. How are we going to check that information that we're producing? So I read about these other AI-powered apps, and where you can create your whole set of coordinated drawings in 45 minutes from one single plan. That sounds incredible. This is fantastic. I can get rid of all my staff. I can just have one person pressing a button on a computer, do all the work for me. However, who's checking this stuff? Is the AI checking itself? Do we need another AI to check the AI? What's the process here? On paper, it sounds good. It could mean that there should be more time put aside for checking and reviewing your information before you send your deliverables out, which is normally a rush process, and checking and quality control often gets overlooked. So this may well be a good thing. However, I can remember several of my quality managers I've worked with in the past were having sleepless nights about the rise of this sort of technology. So quality control, what we're looking at, I think we can define this into sort of three specific areas really. So once we're looking at performance, are your models running efficiently? Are they delivering the work you need to deliver on time? Data integrity, now this is the important one for me. Are you delivering the correct data at the right time to your clients? And then finally, productivity. Are your users being productive? Are they producing the work they need to deliver on time, on budget, without overruns, etc., etc. So we can break these down into other areas here. So productivity, performance, what are we talking about here? We want to prevent issues with your models. We want your models to run as smooth as possible. You don't want your models crashing on a regular basis. That causes lots of delays, wasted time, even rework, etc. Do you want problems with saving your models? That's another issue. You don't want problems to saving your data. Printing and exporting, you do not want, when you come to print those drawings or produce those PDFs at the end of your project, are there issues there? And there's other issues that we can see on the board there. So incorrect data is the key one, as I mentioned before. You have got to make sure that the data you're promising to deliver is what you are delivering. So the goal here is we want to keep the project team and your project stakeholders happy. So let's look at some of the issues that can lead to problems with your models. Now, I've broken this down into two areas. One is for general software in general, and we've got some specific issues when dealing with Revit models. So lack of software updates, so there's software gets released and updated. Is this causing problems with your current setup? External content, so this is a big issue currently in the industry. Manufacturers are producing lots and lots of content. Is this what you need? Is it required for the job? Is there too much information in there? Is it causing your models to get too heavy and bloated? Careless software programming. You hired that whiz-kid guy who can write all these amazing scripts and plugins for you, but does it affect your other software, your other main tools that you're working with? Is that causing you problems? And then lack of a BIM execution plan. If there's no plan on how you're going to deliver these models and these projects, then how can you expect to produce the correct information at the correct time? And when dealing with Revit specific issues, we've got a couple of things here. Linked CAD files are generally a massive problem, or imported CAD files, I should say. Revit warnings cause problems with your models. And there's other issues there. This isn't by no means an exhaustive list. That's just some of the examples that we're highlighting here. So remember, your model health and standards are a progressive problem. It's only going to get worse as you go through the project. So you want to try and deal with this as the problems occur to prevent those issues getting worse as you go through the life cycle of the project. So we're talking about quality control. I can't not have a slide about Revit warnings. They're a problem, let's be honest. They can cause problems with your models in terms of causing crashes, causing the model size to increase, causing file corruption issues, incorrect information with your schedules. These can all be problems attributed to warnings in Revit. So you want to try and deal with these as and when you can, and we have solutions at Ideate that can help deal with this particular issue. So the biggest threat is that they will increase the size of your models and slow it down, making you less productive and causing potential issues with those models further down the line. So what are the results of these poor quality control issues? Well, there's many things that can be led to here. So this is by no means an exhaustive list. So you're looking at increased costs. If you've got to redo work, that's increased staff costs and time. If you're missing deadlines, you could be fined for those as well. It could lead to increased costs on site. So if you're ordering too many doors because your schedule from Revit is telling you need 300, but you only need 200, that's increased costs for materials, and it's also leading to waste as well. So if your scheduling is incorrect, that can lead to issues with site materials, etc. And then I've put this one in, site safety. We know a lot of site inductions now have taken place virtually with a 3D model or one of those BIM caves, whatever they call them. If that model's wrong, then there's a potential for safety issues on site. So if that model is incorrect, that could also be a problem. So this is the data governance stage. So what's this got to do with data governance? Well, everything really. If your model doesn't contain the correct data, then you're going to be handing over incorrect data to your client at the end of the process. So how are you checking your information requirements? What are you doing to make sure that the information you deliver is what your client expects and requires? So Ideate software, we've developed a suite of applications, and a lot of our tools can help with some of these issues around quality control. So I'm going to give you just one or two examples of how our tools can help with some of these processes. So Ideate BIM Link is a solution to help you manage all of that data in your Revit files. You can export the data into Excel, which makes the process much easier for editing, managing that information, push that information back into your model, and it will update your model. One example of that is we have lots of pre-configured content, and we have content specifically for quality control. So this is checking naming conventions, it's checking standards, work sets, type names, you name it. There's a whole host of pre-configured content that we provide with our software to really help you make sure your models are correct and working to the best of their ability. And then COBie is obviously a key deliverable, especially with the ISO 19650. So again, we have got content to help you to manage this process. The vast majority of COBie deliverables, it's a mapping exercise. It's filling in properties in Excel spreadsheets, copying and pasting data from one cell to another, and then pushing that information back into your Revit model. So this gives you an idea of how the BIM Link tool can help with this process. And there's a nice quote there from Nigel Davis of how they're using BIM Link to help with their COBie deliverables. So that's nice. And also a case study here around model checking and quality control. So this is, again, from Evolve Consultancy. They were working on a project where they were asked to check the model performance and track the performance of those models throughout the delivery cycle of the process. So it's finding out key information like the number of rooms, are things being named correctly, is COBie being assigned to the projects. So once again, using BIM Link to extract the information from Revit and then manipulating that data within Excel, we provided a solution for them that helped them to track the progress of these models throughout the project lifecycle. So I mentioned warnings. Another one of our solutions, Ideate Explorer, has a built-in warning manager. So this helps you to determine which warnings are more important for you to deal with, rather than just having a long list of warnings that Revit gives you. We characterize these by how these warnings will affect the performance of your model. So this gives you an idea of how to track those warnings and to resolve the ones which are more important in terms of how those warnings can affect your model. So that's a solution we developed there. Style Manager is a tool to help you manage the myriad of other data, so things like line styles, materials, line patterns, etc. These kinds of elements are very time-consuming to manage, or often impossible. So with the Ideate Style Manager tool, we've given you the ability to analyze this data and then remove the unwanted styles and even merge similar styles together to make sure you can align with your project and BIM standards. And then finally, we have another solution here called Ideate Annotate. This is a tool that really does help with that QA, QC review of your project documents. So you can run this solution and it will highlight issues with your document. So it's that red pen stage, as I call it, where reviews are being done and project leads will go around with a red pen marking up all these problems with your drawings. We can automate that process with Ideate Annotate, and we'll help you resolve quickly any issues that the tool can highlight. So these are some of the conditions that the Ideate Annotate can pick up. So 0-length dimensions, blank tags, duplicate tags, etc., etc. And then finally, we have another solution to help automate these things further. So Ideate Automation will enable you to schedule specific tasks, so whether it's extracting data from your models, managing COBie information, creating PDFs and DWGs. We have another solution there to help with that process. And that's just an example of some of the data that we can extract from these models to build a health check report. And who doesn't love a dashboard? We can push this information into a Power BI dashboard as well. So this process can be automated and scheduled, so you're extracting this information on a regular basis. So that's just a final review, summary there. And then so to summarise, make sure you prioritise quality reviews, etc. Get them into your plans. Make sure you plan these reviews of information at key stages during your project, and get it in that BIM execution plan as well to make sure that it doesn't get overlooked and doesn't get missed. Model maintenance and quality is every team member's responsibility. Don't leave it to your BIM manager. It's everyone's responsibility to make sure that your models are performing correctly and the data that you are delivering from your models is correct and accurate. And hopefully with some of the Ideate software solutions, this should make that process easier and quicker for you. So, thank you very much. I will now pass over to Neil, who's going to talk a little bit more about people.
Well, you want me to go? Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, what's left of everybody in the audience. My name is Neil Carter. I'm the head of digital technology for a company of architects in the UK called Corstorphine Wright. I've been in this business for over 40 years. There was a typo on this slide that said 40 decades, but that was my problem. I started in 1977 as a junior in architectural practice. That's 1977 BC, which is before CAD. And I've had a variety of roles in the industry ever since. Through from being CAD manager over to software specialist and software application support, when I sold my soul to the devil and went to the dark side and worked for authors like Bentley Systems. And in the late 90s, early 2000s, I went to work for a company called Revit Technology UK. I think I was one of the first 4 or 5 people in that company. So if you bought Revit, as it's been told to me ever since, it's my fault that you're using that software. I've also worked as a consultant. I've been a BIM lead for architectural companies, and that's brought me to Corstorphine Wright as head of digital technology. Who is Corstorphine Wright? Well, we have a 180 strong professional team, just short of 300 users across 11 locations in the UK. We have 40 plus years experience. 80% of our projects is through repeat business, which is great. And we work with over 135 of the leading UK property developers and PLCs. And more recently this year, we've risen to number 14 in the AJ 100, which we're quite pleased about and have ambitions to grow even higher. Our portfolio goes across all sectors really, so student accommodation, residential, industrial, commercial, retail, DOE, blue light. The sectors are there to see. So what was the reason? I've been with the company just short of 18 months now, and what was the reason I was brought in? Well, one of the things that I was asked to do was to review the skill sets, the resources and the design tools that we use as a company. Our company has grown very quickly, and some of that has been through acquisition of other companies. And that's great because, as architects, we'll roughly do the same thing, we'll roughly use the same processes, we'll roughly use the same design tools to produce the end product, but each company thinks they do it better than anybody else. And why wouldn't you? So one of the things I've been asked to do, which is across the group, is to try and align things where I can and across those 3 areas. And you look at the level of knowledge within the group, it's many and varied. And if you sit with people and say, how good are you at using the tools that you use, they'll go, oh yeah, I'm good. I've been using it 10 years, I'm pretty good. Nobody's going to tell you that they're not very good at something, but if you spin it in a slightly different way and say, well, how much better do you think you could be? They'll say, well, if I could get some mentoring in this, it would help me with that, and that would do it. So one of the things that I do is I knowledge smart every employee, particularly with the design tools, and that gives me a good level base data. And I think the knowledge smart people are here today, which is Eagle Point Software, and that's allowed me to implement Pinnacle E-Series to give 24/7 online mentoring to all our staff, and also we can add our own custom content in there to help with processes. One of the other areas that I've looked at is things like consistent workflows, centralization of resources, library creation and curation. in the digital tools, our technology stack is, well, I don't know how many of you guys out there will agree with this. We have Autodesk, Revit, Navisworks, Solibri, MicroStation, AutoCAD, Vectorworks. The list goes on and on and on. But our main production information is produced through Revit. You've probably seen this this diagram a million times before. It originated in the 60s. It was originally a diamond, which focused on people, technology, processes, and structure, tasks and structure, I should say, and redeveloped during the 90s into what we call people, technology, and processes. Okay, don't know. That's not my slide. I'm not having a good day today, am I? How do I get back to my slide? This will be known as the car crash of the event.
Oh, it went all the way back to the beginning. Okay. So
Beginning?
yeah, it went back to the beginning. So tell me which are ones are
No,
down.
deeper in there. Go back up.
This one? There you go.
Okay. So, when we apply that against those particular areas that I'm looking at, the people obviously refer to the studio structures, the roles within those structures, and the expertise and knowledge base. Resources are the things that I've already touched on. Company resources, client and project requirements are always different. The governance and production standards, and the tools we use in the technology area. But basically what it means is, who's doing stuff, what do we do stuff with, and how stuff is done. And the sweet spots and the areas where they overlap give you things that will give you a win. So people and processes, you get scalability. With technology and process, you can do automation, which gives you a win. With people and technology, when people use technology and they innovate certain things, they try different ways of doing stuff, and that's an innovative. See, Nigel, even I can't say some words today. And that goes back to all the things that help our company. However, if you've got all those things in balance and harmony, the outcome of that should be an optimized model efficiency. You shouldn't suffer from slow sync times, delayed openings, crashes. You should have leaner models, you should have warnings, and that gives you increased productivity, enhanced model performance, and peace of mind within the company. The users get peace of mind that, I'm working on XYZ project today, I'd hope it doesn't crash. The reality of it is, you do get model inefficiencies. People ignore warnings. There's an example of one of our models there with over 11,000 warnings in. And I've used this slide before, and a guy in the audience said, I can beat that, 4,500 for me. Shouldn't have that many. You're gonna suffer from problems. If you're importing DWG or CAD data into your files, you're going to get more line styles, more patterns. All these things can result in this guy, the spinning blue donut of death. And what are the culprits of that? It doesn't matter how much time you give and you tell people, you take them through mentoring processes and you teach them how to do model maintenance. There's things outside their scope, really, that don't help with this. And one of those things is deadlines. In today's environment, our deadlines are getting more and more and more compressed. The same amount of work, and in some cases more, in a short space of time. There's two ways you can do that. You can throw more resource at it, which means you're going to lose more money, or you can charge more money for it, in which case the client goes, we're not paying any more for it. And that actually gives a compression on time, which affects this guy. And this guy ends up spending hours and hours and hours. And to reduce the amount of hours they take, what do? I hate to say it, they'll take shortcuts. They'll do anything to get that package out on time. And that is why we need Ideate. We need Ideate to make sure that our models are well maintained. We bought the whole suite. I'd used it previously in other organizations to create success. In fact, there's one project I actually couldn't have completed without BIM Link for import and export of data. It gives us a whole result of quick wins. So, you know, with the Explorer BIM, Ideate Explorer, it's like the Revit Project Explorer, but it's been on an Arnold Schwarzenegger course. It's a really beefy Explorer that allows you to do a lot in there and optimize your models. It will improve your audits, your QA. You can reduce the warnings. You can see where those warnings are. You can rationalize your CAD imports. It just makes things better. And there's that example I showed you earlier on the first run through Explorer, where we reduced the warnings to over half in a very, very short space of time. Style Manager has been absolutely invaluable for us. It's allowed us to do a whole lot of consolidation on some of our models and reduce line styles, patterns, text font. And really, does it matter that I've got all these line styles in a model file? Yeah, it does. They don't take up a lot of space, but they do take up space and they cause confusion, and it's better to get rid of them. It's going back to the old days of CAD when you deleted duplicates. People drew lines on top of lines. You've got to delete those lines because it keeps those files slim and efficient. We've done some rudimentary analysis so far. We've had Ideate now, I think, 12 months, Steve? Across the business. It's installed on every PC across the business. We've done workshops. The traction initially was a little bit slow, mainly down to deadlines and time constraints. But there's been a few studios that have really taken to it and used it to a great extent, and that's now rippling out across the business. So we've done a sort of a rudimentary extrapolation of sort of return on investment, really, based on 60 users, 15 projects, working 46 weeks a year, and we reckon we can save those users 15 minutes a week. You know, that's 15 hours a week, 690 hours a year. That equates to round about 30 odd K. So the software almost pays for itself, really, which is a great proposition. The last thing I've got is a few quotes from my users who have said, you know, the two I like particularly are the last two. Explorer helped us get a really unstable project back to a really healthy state. Why isn't this in Revit as standard? I don't know. I don't work for Autodesk anymore. The Align tool offers the Align tool across multiple sheets. This little beauty for my obsessive compulsion for neat and tidy drawings. And I think that's great. How many times do you look at a set of drawings, general arrangement, fire strategy drawings, where the views have not been put on the sheet just right because it's difficult to do in Revit most of the time? And then you go through them and there's like one or two shifted, or it's untidy. Maybe I'm just obsessive or anal, or maybe I just like things right. These tools really help us get to the point we're at. That's my last slide, ladies and gentlemen. I am way overdue, not my fault. Thank you very much for listening, and for those people that did stay around, not walking out on me, I really appreciate it. If you want to talk to me, then please go ahead, and over to the next gentleman, which is Ger. Thank you.